Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making scallops with Miso Beurre Blanc. For this dish we need 1 pound of dry sea scallops. I'm using very large ones. We want to dry these out even more because we want nice hearts here on this. So I just have a baking sheet lined with paper towels and we're going to space out the scallops evenly, just to give them a little breathing room. Then we're going to cover with another layer of paper towel, give this a little press, and we're going to set this aside while we prep the rest of our ingredients. We also need some pencil asparagus. I'm not going to use all of this, so just pop off the woody ends of this. And I used about half of this bunch because we're only using the tips of our asparagus. Once you have the amount you want, pop them into a vegetable steamer and steam them for 5 minutes over boiling water and set those aside. We're also going to chop up a little chive for garnish. And for the Beurre Blanc, we need 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I'm just chopping this into chunks, popping it in a bowl, and putting it in the fridge so it stays cold. For the Beurre Blanc, we also need 1 large shallot. We just want to cut this into a nice little fine mince. Now, originally I wanted to do seared scallops with a mignonette, but I spoke to a friend about it, and I did agree that it might be a little too acidic for this, so this is what we're making today instead. So just mincing up the shallot. If you don't have a large one, just use 2 small ones. Once it's minced, we can add it to a small saucepan. We're gonna add a tablespoon of miso so it doesn't overwhelm our scallop, 1/4 cup of dry white wine, and 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Over medium-high heat, we're gonna bring this to a boil and let this reduce for 5 minutes before straining out all the shallot. We just want that for the flavor. Adding the liquid back in over medium-low heat, and we're gonna start adding a pat of butter at a time, whisking furiously and letting that melt completely before adding the next pat of butter. Making a Beurre Blanc is a little time consuming, but just be patient with this. If you try to rush this, your sauce is going to break and you're going to have to start over. So after all the butter has been added, you're going to end up with this really beautiful, glossy, bright yellow Beurre Blanc. You can shut off the heat now, give this a taste for seasoning, and we're gonna add in an 1/8 of a teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. We're gonna pop a lid on this and set this aside and just keep it warm until we're ready to drizzle our scallops with it. Now over high heat, we're gonna heat up a stainless steel pan. We're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You wanna heat this until it's almost smoking. Our scallops have been sitting and drying. At this point, right before we cook them, we're going to season with a little kosher salt and a little freshly ground black pepper because we want to add flavor to the scallop as well. And we want to bring out the sweetness. So just giving this little sprinkle with kosher salt and some black pepper. Now over on the stove, we are going to sear this for about a minute and a half. Just laying out our scallop and again leaving space in between, and the outer ring is going to be the hottest part of your pan. But once you have them in there, don't move them. Let them just sit and sear for a minute and a half. Give them a little flip, and we're going to cook the other side for only 30 seconds. I've just plated them on my favorite platter, just scattering around the tips of our asparagus, and we're going to drizzle with as much of our Miso Beurre Blanc as your heart desires. Garnishing with our chopped chives. And this is looking absolutely gorgeous. Now let's go ahead and give this a taste. Let's check the cook on this. Kind of hard to see with the Beurre Blanc on top of it. The Beurre Blanc is, you just get that little hint of miso in it. It is rich with that butter flavor. You get a little hint of the acidity from the apple cider vinegar and that white wine. The scallop is cooked perfectly. You have that lovely hearts here on the outside. The inside is just opaque. It's not overcooked. You get a better view of this here. The asparagus adds a little freshness, and this is absolutely delicious. But there it is. Scallops with Miso Beurre Blanc. I hope I'll try to make this in your home. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really do appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a like. If you loved it, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you again, and until next time, happy cooking.